Colorado is a landlocked state, so if someone says they have a favorite sushi restaurant, you know it has to be good. I'm gonna be going over 4 of the top and best sushi restaurants in the Denver metro area that whether you live here and you've been here for 20 years, or you're just visiting for the weekend, you definitely have to try these places. I'm Katie, the real estate gal in the Denver metro area, and I realized that I know a lot about the different neighborhoods and pockets and suburbs of Denver. And I absolutely love trying new restaurants and dining out, so why not put 2 of my passions together and give you some reviews and some recommendations on some sushi restaurants around town. If you find this video helpful, please hit the like button or subscribe because I do release videos every single week. And also, if you like this video, please comment below on what style of restaurant you would love me to review next. So my first recommendation is Matahisa. It's located in the Cherry Creek neighborhood and it's catty corner from the Cherry Creek Mall, right on the corner. There are condos and apartments above it, and the pool view, if you know somebody that lives in that condo, the pool view looks over the entire front range, but you don't get access to the rooftop just from the restaurant. So let's move on to the restaurant. Also, if you live in those condos, you do have a separate entrance to Matsuhisa, just saying. I love that they have valet. It adds a really nice touch because Cherry Creek can be pretty hectic if you try to park. There isn't too much metered parking around or even a parking lot to pay at, so the valet is definitely the route to go. When you walk into the restaurant, there's really beautiful dim lighting. All of the walls are kind of made of wood and it has a classy feel to it. It's really great for a business dinner or a celebratory meal. I have a couple you cannot miss menu items. The first one is the Gardener, or we call it the green drink. It is delicious. You have to be a cilantro fan though, because it does have cilantro as one of its main ingredients. It also has serrano pepper, lime juice, tequila, and ginger. It is so good. A little dangerous because it does have 2 shots of tequila per martini, but boy, it is so refreshing. You can't taste the tequila. It's delicious. My new favorite actually is the passion fruit martini, sub tequila. If you can't tell, I'm a tequila fan. And then moving on to some of the menu items. The pterodactyl roll, which pterodactyl roll is what our server said we could call it, is really, really phenomenal. It is one of the rolls. It's kind of like a fun roll. The rice on the outside, the nori, and then all of the stuff in the inside. There isn't a lot of rolls like that on their menu. There's just a handful. So the spider roll is a common one, the Philly roll, California, but that's definitely not what they're known for. They're not known for their rolls. They're more so known for their raw fish choices. So the sashimi and crudos that are sliced really thin. One of my favorites on that is the bincho truffle. Oh my goodness. So I'm not the biggest truffle fan, or at least I wasn't. Wow. So it's 7 thinly sliced pieces of fish, and then it has a miso powder and a little bit of a shaved truffle on top with a truffle sauce. It is absolutely delicious. So another thing on their appetizer list that you cannot miss is the crispy rice with spicy tuna. So it is a lightly fried cube of rice, and you get a fair amount of them. They all have little toothpicks in them. You put them in a little bit of it's kind of a liquidy sauce. It's not soy sauce. It has a touch of sweetness to it. And then you take the spicy tuna, so it's almost like it's a build your own deconstructed type of thing. And then you take the spicy tuna and put it on top of the cube. And I like to serve it myself. That's kind of how I was taught to eat it. So you make one and then you serve it to a guest. And then of course you go around the table and you feed yourself last. That one, just the crispiness of the rice, the kind of creaminess of the tuna, and then a little bit of the salty sweet of the liquid, whatever that is. Oh my goodness, it's so good. Can't miss it. I know that there's some other restaurants that have tried to replicate it. Doesn't work. So be prepared because Matsuhisa is a little bit more on the expensive side. And when I say a little, I do mean a lot, because every time I say, oh my gosh, have you been to Matsuhisa? I like to call it Matsu. People are like, yes, I love it, but it's so expensive. So be prepared. Maybe look at the menu a little bit beforehand. Absolutely worth a visit. My friend and I actually make the Gardener cocktail, that green drink we were talking about, in batch at home. So good. It is absolutely a must try. The second sushi place I want to mention is called Uchi. Uchi is in the Rhino neighborhood or Curtis Park, and it was actually first opened in Austin, Texas by James Beard award-winning chef Tyson Cole. It is really sleek, and getting a reservation there is pretty dang tricky. So I like to say that I've been there 2.5 times, not 3 times, because one of the first experiences that I had there was not actually inside the restaurant, it was in their garden area that's actually in the back. They grow a lot of their own herbs and vegetables. In the back though, they had a special dinner that they had 3 really long tables set up, and it was probably about 10 people per side, so it's about 20 people per table times 3. So what they did is they flew in 10 chefs from other locations, and each chef was dedicated to design one course of the meal, and it was a 10-course meal. So it was super, super fun to try the different courses. So technically, they were Uchi chefs from Uchi restaurants, but it wasn't the items that were listed on the menu. So that's why I like to say I've been there a half time because of that experience, which was absolutely outstanding. Any coursed meal definitely wins my heart. Anyway, back to Uchi. So they're not only known for their super fresh fish, but they're also known to put really fun twists on dishes. So one dish that's mentionable is the bluefin crudo with black garlic confit is remarkable. They have a variety of different options. So another mentionable is the hot stone with wagyu, and that is so cool, I think, to see. And it's a newer concept to me at least, but a hot stone is brought out and then you're served raw red meat. And so they decided to do wagyu for their meat option. So you get some raw meat and then you put it on the stone and it cooks it. You have to flip it pretty quickly, and you can do it as rare or as cooked as you'd like it. But I think that is so fun, it's interactive, and it definitely gets people talking. They also like to serve their sake in the little wooden cubes. I don't know if you've seen that before, which is a newer concept to me. There's a lot of different ways to drink sake, and since we're on the topic, I love the milky sake. I think the sweetness to it is super, super nice. But for the sake that I ordered, it is served in a cubed, like on a wooden box, and the glass sits in the center. And what they do is they pour the sake so it actually overflows the glass that's in the box. And so you drink the glass out of the, you don't like shoot it, but you drink the glass out of the little box, and then you drink what else is in the box too. Never seen that concept before. This was the first place. But it's always fun to get acclimated with different cultures and different restaurants and how they do things. The last food item I wanted to mention is the glazed yellowtail collar. It has a bunch of different flavors mixed in that works really, really well. Now the third sushi location, if you've lived in Denver, you have absolutely heard of Sushi Den or Izakaya Den. Before 2020, they were 2 separate restaurants, and I know I'll be corrected if I'm wrong in this, but now they have merged. They've always shared the same kitchen, but they've always had slightly different menus. They do have the same menu now as of July 2022. You actually walk into Izakaya Den to put your name in on the list, and then whatever seat is available first, that's where you get seated. So it might be in Sushi Den, which is literally right next door, or it might be in Izakaya Den. Sushi Den is a little bit more calm in my opinion, and then Izakaya Den is a little bit trendier, if you will. They do have an upstairs with kind of an atrium, outdoor kind of section area, and a really big bar top that you can sit at. But I think just because it's rooftop, it's elevated, I feel like it gets a younger crowd compared to Sushi Den, which you know has been there for quite some time. So anytime someone refers to Sushi Den, they're essentially referring to Sushi Den and Izakaya Den, because it's one. The tricky part about Sushi Den though is that they don't take reservations unless it's 5 or more people. So if you are going for date night, you can't just make a reservation and show up at that time. You should actually get there pretty early, put your name on the list. If they can't seat you right away, then there's a little strip of other bars and restaurants that you could go get a cocktail at. And what they'll do is they'll text you when your table is ready, and then you have about 15 minutes to show up and get seated. Some mentionables at Sushi Den is that they do have a sake flight. I love sake flights because then you can taste the different sakes side by side. So I think that that's super fun. They have a wagyu sushi roll. So it has no raw fish in it, but it is cooked wagyu wow, it is like butter. It melts in your mouth. It is served a little bit warm, and the entire, like the rice and the nori is heated up a little bit because the Wagyu comes out kind of hot. So that is something to be aware of. And then Sushi Den also has a version of the crispy rice with spicy tuna that I was mentioning that Matsuhisa has. So it is different. So I don't think it's good to compare side by side because the flavor of Sushi Dens is really, really good. But if you compare them, you will be disappointed because it's not as crispy. So Sushi Den is a really great spot to go if you are a local. It's in the Platt Park neighborhood, which is just right next door to Wash Park. There is parking around, which is super nice. And there's always a line around the corner to put your name on the list, so you know it has to be good quality fish. The fourth and final sushi recommendation is Sushi Salsa. I just found this a little while ago. It is located in the Low-High area. So it is kitty corner from REI. The Platte River separates it. And if you cross the way, you can get to Little Man, My Neighbor Felix, Happy Camper. It is completely hidden. I've driven by it so many times and I've never seen it because it doesn't have a bright neon sign. It actually just says Sushi Salsa in kind of italicized letters on one of the windows, and then when they're not open, they pull the shades down. So it's like you can't even see it whatsoever. My experience there was unbelievable, and honestly, the server made our experience super duper memorable. So not only was it really great food, but it was really great service staff. And the manager stopped by, the food runners, everyone was super duper helpful. So there is a little bit of parking in the back, and they also did really well with the dim lighting. It is a little bit more of a intimate feel, but it also has a little bit of a cold feel. So our tables were covered in tablecloths, but there wasn't a lot of kind of like squishy objects or flowers around. I think their goal was to go simplistic, clean, you can focus on the food. So I have two mentionables that weren't at any of the other sushi locations. So one was a chirashi bowl, and if you don't know, chirashi is with the rice on the bottom of the bowl and then a variety of different raw fish. So it's different from nigiri, and nigiri is the rice with the fish on top. Sashimi is just fish. So it's different from both of those because typically those are served in 2 pieces or 1 piece. The chirashi bowl is about 12 to 20 pieces of raw fish on top of rice, and it's all beautifully displayed in one bowl. So they have a chirashi bowl. Another thing that they have that I got so excited about is sparkling sake. If you haven't had sparkling sake before, well, you know that sake can be served chilled, room temperature, or warm. And actually the warm I learned was Americanized. They don't actually drink sake warm in the Asian countries traditionally. So sparkling sake is served in a flute glass, and typically it's served in like a little split, so you can have 2 champagne flutes with it. And it's just a good way to have bubbles. It's pretty good with oysters, and towards the beginning of the meal, their version of the sparkling sake was a little bit on the sweeter side, but I was over the moon happy that they actually had it. Another thing that they had was lemon pepper edamame. So they had edamame actually served 3 different ways, and one of the flavors was lemon pepper. Never seen that before, so that was really fun to try. And the final thing that stuck out to me was not only that they had tiramisu, they had green tiramisu, and it wasn't green tea tiramisu, it was wasabi tiramisu. It worked. It was really good. So it didn't have that like really harsh punch that wasabi or horseradish really does, but you could definitely taste the sweetness to the mascarpone as well as the flavors that the wasabi had. It was really, really interesting, and it was really tasty. It was also paired with a little bit of chocolate as well. So it was like sweetness with a little bit of heat that didn't burn your mouth. It's really impressive. So there you have it. Those are the 4 major spots that you have to go to if you are coming to Denver, Colorado, and you're looking for fresh sushi that is unbelievable. Now, I did live in the Pacific Northwest as well as Minnesota for quite a while, so I feel like I have a really good palate to detect good fish. All 4 of these places had really fabulous fresh fish that's raw, so nigiri, sashimi, and rolls, but I did want to mention those specialty items that you can't necessarily get at other places. Knowing Denver and the surrounding areas is my specialty, so I did want to incorporate some fun things of 2 different hobbies. So if you need anything from restaurant recommendations to places to live, I'm your gal. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe because I release videos every single week. And please comment below on what type of restaurants you'd love me to review next. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week.